Is the one by Taylor Swift about Harry Styles? What's the Roaring Twenties got to do with it? Is this a secret fourth song in the Betty and James trilogy? Hi, I'm Chris, the Taylor Explainer. I break down Taylor Swift's songs line by line and lore by lore. If you've ever looked up a word in one of Taylor's songs, felt confused by a line or a verse, or just love deep dives and Swifty level decoding, you're in the right place. This is the Lore Decoder for the One, track 1 from Folklore. In the last video, we went through the lyrics, revisiting a fun but doomed relationship. Now, let's zoom out. What was happening in Taylor's world when she wrote this? What inspired the tone, the setting, and the story? And is this about someone specific? Well, it all started with the pandemic lockdown. Taylor wrote The One with Aaron Dessner of The National. Aaron wrote what he calls a sketch of the music, and he sent it to her in April 2020, early in the pandemic, with a whole bunch of other song sketches he calls the folder of ideas when they began collaborating remotely during the lockdown. According to a Vulture interview with Aaron Dessner, The One was one of the last songs written for the album. They had considered the album pretty much done, and then one night, Taylor pulled this idea out of the folder of ideas. She wrote The One, sending Aaron her lyrics as voice notes in the middle of the night. Aaron added music, and Aaron's twin brother Bryce added orchestration. I've added a link to the Vulture article in the description. The One kicks off Folklore by saying, "It would have been fun if you would have been the one." Right away, it introduces us to the world of the album, a place full of what ifs, memories, and quiet reflection. Taylor has said that the Betty, James, Augustine love triangle is a trilogy, 3 songs that tell the same story from different points of view. So, is the one part of that storyline? Probably not, but it totally sets the tone for the whole album. It starts with wondering and regret, and then slowly shifts towards acceptance. This feeling goes from daydreamy to grounded, like someone finally telling themselves the truth, even if it hurts. That kind of clear, honest thinking shows up again in Mirrorball and Madwoman, which we know are more personal. But what exactly is the tone this song is setting up for the album? It's a blurred line between fantasy and reality, between truth and fiction. One of the best scene setting lines in the whole song is Roaring Twenties tossing pennies in the pool. It's a direct nod to The Great Gatsby, the 1925 novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, Taylor's a huge reader. She's said so in interviews, like this one with the Associated Press from 2015.
The reason I fell in love with reading books where I could escape into a different world was because in school, if I had a bad day and I felt very left out, or I felt like I didn't belong, or I wasn't invited to something, I could escape to this other world where I could go to a different place.
She drops literary references in her lyrics all the time, so this nod to The Great Gatsby fits right in. Oh, wait, do you remember the details about Gatsby? I did a whole deep dive on this so I can summarize for you. It's set in the early 1920s. Jay Gatsby is a self-made millionaire who throws these over-the-top parties and basically builds his whole life around trying to win back his former love, Daisy Buchanan. After Gatsby and Daisy's relationship ended, she got married to a guy named Tom Buchanan who is rich, arrogant, and honestly not great to her. But he comes from old money, and the life he offers her is stable and luxurious. Gatsby is persistent, though, absolutely convinced they must end up together, so he keeps chasing Daisy, giving her everything: attention, wealth, romance, this promise of a bigger, better future. For a moment, it seems like she might actually leave Tom, but she doesn't. She goes back to the safety of her shallow, comfortable life with Tom. She knows that Gatsby's version of her, this dream he created, isn't real, and she could never live up to that fantasy. In the end, Gatsby dies, in his pool, mind you, still wishing for a life with Daisy. Gatsby's story is all about holding on to a dream that can't be real, and in the book, the pool is where hopes and dreams literally die. Taylor captures both in The One, describing a life imagined, a love that almost was. The lyric "tossing pennies in a pool" instead of a fountain adds this layer of irony. It's not magical, it's just a waste, and that's the whole song in a nutshell. This life she imagined, the love that almost was, and the realization that wishing won't bring it back again or make it real. If you want a copy of The Great Gatsby for yourself, I included an affiliate link to a beautiful version in the description. Here's where it gets chaotic. Swifties are known for deep dives and sometimes bold guesses that turn out to be really Really off base. We call it clowning, building theories on tiny clues, wild connections, and hopeful speculation. Let's talk fan theories. Is it about Harry Styles? A lot of Swifties think this song has Harry Styles' energy, saying it feels like Taylor's song style and Harry's song Two Ghosts. The songs aren't exact matches, but Two Ghosts is a song about a big relationship that didn't work out. The theory is that the one feels like two people looking back on a slightly chaotic relationship at the same moment, just from different places. Is it about Calvin Harris? This one comes up mostly because of how drawn out the ending of their relationship was. They were together for over a year, and at the time it looked stable. But after the breakup, there was tension, canceled collaborations, deleted tweets, press drama. Lines like "you really should have showed" feel personal. Like, she's not mad, she's just disappointed. Big Calvin Harris era mood. Is it about Selena Gomez? This one's not as out there as you might think. The theory goes that the one is about Selena Gomez and her relationship with The Weeknd. Fans point to the similarities between the one and Selena's song Fun. I mean, it sounds out there, but then there's the Vulture interview Aaron Dessner gave, who we all know co-wrote the song, and he says it's clear to him that the one is written from another friend's perspective, not Taylor's. So maybe? Is it connected to Betty, James, and Augustine? Even though Taylor labeled the love triangle songs, August, Betty, and Cardigan, as a trilogy, some fans think the one might be a future version of one of those characters looking back years later. The only issue? In Long Pond, Taylor said in her mind Betty and James end up together, so I think this is one theory busted. Is some woman on the internet Taylor herself? In the line, "you meet some woman on the internet and take her home," some fans think Taylor is talking about herself, or more specifically, the way she's reduced to some woman in the press, the tabloids, and even in the minds of exes. I don't personally get this one, but I love when people see things I don't, so I wanted to mention it. Is it about Joe Alwyn? I'm invested in this one. It's not that he's the subject of the song, but he's the reason the central relationship doesn't happen. Folklore was written while they were together, and I have a slightly different theory on this, so I'll talk about that more a little bit in my take. Now, Taylor has said that a lot of folklore is fictional, built on invented characters and imagined lives. But in the Long Pond sessions, she also says some of it is personal, so it's not black and white, and I think the one might be more personal than we're meant to think. My take. Is it a hot take? Maybe. Let me know what you think. But here's what I think. The song starts in fantasy. She's imagining herself out and about, living her life, saying she's fine. But she's not really doing those things. This was during the pandemic. She's at home, and maybe, just maybe, she's thinking about the fun she used to have with an old lover because Joe's a homebody. Her relationship with Joe was intentionally low profile even before the pandemic. So being fully stuck at home might have made her miss this other man, and their life that she remembers is fun. She misses the lightness, the fun, and the playfulness the music captures, and it stands in contrast to the extreme stillness of early pandemic days. She's picturing a different version of herself. Full schedule, happy memories, nothing left to work through, but that is the fiction, the fantasy. The truth in the song is this: she's still thinking about it. She's revisiting what went wrong, digging up the grave one more time, even though she knows it won't change anything. So who is she thinking of? I don't know, but the song ends in reality. You know the greatest loves of all time are over now. That doesn't sound like fantasy. It sounds like someone saying it out loud because they need to believe it. That's my take on the lore behind the one. But what did I miss? Is there a theory you love? A theory I skipped? Something you totally disagree with? I love when you catch things I didn't. So don't gatekeep the hot goss. Tell me what I missed. I want to hear it. I might even include it in a future video. If you want to live in the world of this song, I've linked The Great Gatsby, a gorgeous journal, a rose-colored glasses candle from Voluspa, and dupes for my Gatsby-inspired jewelry and shirt down below. Using affiliate links helps my channel and doesn't cost you anything extra, so thank you. And remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss more lyrics and lore.